April 15th, 2020, and I'd like to take a little time today to talk to you about the COVID pandemic and how it's affecting the real estate market. So overall, yes, sales activity is down, showings are down, the market is definitely seeing a slowdown. But there are still sales going on. And what I want to point out is you might be getting postcards in the mail or seeing people posting about a recent sale, and that's great. However, just know that if that property just recently closed, that means it went into contract 30 to 45 days ago. That's something to always keep in mind, is there's this escrow process where the second a home goes into contract or is, quote, sold, it still takes 30 to 45 days for the deal to close. And that's when the buyer gets their keys and the seller gets their money. And that's when it sort of counts as a closed sale. So what I'm looking at is what is recently going into contract. That's going to be a reflection of, how has the current situation affected sales. So what I did is I went back 15 days and said, hey, how many homes have sold since April 1st? Okay, and this is just straight how many properties, including condos and townhomes as well, for Las Vegas and Henderson. And there were 874 sales in the last 15 days. So there's still action. There are people still buying in this market. Then I filtered that and got a little more specific, and I said, what about guard-gated luxury sales for single-family homes? That's our specialty, is guard-gated luxury real estate. There were 48 guard-gated sales in the last 15 days, with 2 of those listings being priced right at $3.5 million. And then you had 5 in the $1 to $2 million range. And then it jumps down with 6 in the 800 to 900 range, 5, 700 to 800, and then 30, 600 and below. So, that's 48 sales, but with 7 of those being over the $1 million price mark. So it's definitely slower, specifically for this time of year, which is normally prime time. It's the spring selling season, but there is still activity. Also in the last 15 days, there are 52 guard-gated properties removed from the market. I was looking at Red Rock Country Club specifically for a client the other day, and there were 9 homes alone in the last 30 days taken off the market in there. And why? Could be, the folks weren't comfortable having people in their home during this time, or perhaps they've decided, hey, now might not be a good time to sell, so they're renting. But whatever, you're seeing a little bit of that happen. So the question that's on everyone's mind is, how will this affect real estate prices? So let's take a trip back in time to 2008 and 9, when the real estate market crashed last time. I've been licensed since 2003, so I've seen the ups and the downs. And what I saw back then was that almost everyone had 5 homes that they bought with no money down. So when the market shifted, it was a lot easier for people to just bail and say, hey, look, my equity disappeared, my cash flow is negative, you can have it back, bank. Now, I think there's a lot less of that. So you have a couple scenarios. I think scenario number 1 are folks that have little to no equity and perhaps pretty tight on cash flow. And if they've recently been laid off or their business has been closed, I'd venture to guess that those folks are just going to bunker down on their home. Now, maybe they can still afford to make their payment. Maybe they can't, which means maybe they'll take advantage of forbearance being offered by certain Fannie and Freddie-backed mortgages, where they're being allowed to take 6 months of mortgage payments and tack it on the end of their loan, which allows them to get through this time without having to fire sale their home. And even if they don't qualify for the forbearance, there might be folks that still just bunker down and don't make payments, but they're not going to rush to put their home on the market right now and sell it, because where are they going to go anyways? And then you have folks that have equity and money in the bank. And what I saw in 2008 and 9 is that the luxury market was about a year behind, the lower end market, because if you've got money, there was no pressure to sell. So what's going to happen here? Well, the market's definitely going to soften. It is already, and the impact that has on pricing, I think, will play out sooner for the lower end price point, homes under 500K. Yes, we're seeing sales in that price point, but that's the market where you have people with lower down payments because they're doing FHA, maybe 3.5% down, VA, no money down, or even conventional with 5% down. So that market, you just generally may have less equity and might be a little more vulnerable. I think if anything's going to happen to the luxury market, that might take longer to see play out. So here's another way to look at it. Anytime I'm assessing a particular price point to determine whether that part of the market is going up, down, or staying flat, is I'm going to look at supply and demand. Now, if you have low supply and high demand, that's going to drive pricing up. Now, if it's the opposite, high supply and low demand, that's going to soften the market. You have few buyers for a lot of homes, and that's going to make it more competitive, and you might see the market soften and prices come down a little bit. So supply and demand is simple economics that help determine pricing, whether it's housing or Beanie Babies or whatever it is. That's a simple fundamental. So right now the demand, which is the number of willing and able buyers for homes in Las Vegas, is just down for many reasons. You've got people just being told to stay at home. You have a lot of folks that have lost their jobs or been temporarily laid off. You've got California, 5th largest economy in the world, which is a big percentage of our buyers, being told to stay at home. Right now, at least through mid-May, you've got the stock market down. It's been up lately, but it's still down, and that generally doesn't give people a lot of confidence to be spending money. So all these factors lower the demand, lowers the number of buyers out there. So what does it look like when the economy gets turned back on and things turn back around and headed in the right positive direction? Well, eventually people will be going back to work and making money again, and that demand or that pool of buyers will start to increase. I don't see it just going back to where it was overnight, because not everyone's job is just going to come back instantly, and there will just, there's a lot of behavioral changes right now with people are still going to be cautious. Not everyone's just going to jump back out and get back to life as usual. So, this is Las Vegas. I'm still bullish on this city. It's great here, the weather, and for all the other reasons that people that live here know and love this town. But it may take a little time for that to ramp back up. So I would expect real estate sales to still be a little bit on the slow side, even when we open back up. The Rob Jensen Company is still open and helping clients. What we can't do is do open houses or show properties that have tenants in them. And it's according to the governor's mandate. What we can do is continue to market homes, and some of the things that we've always been doing but are even more important than ever right now is our 3D showcase tours, which is a complete scan of your home inside. Creates a neat dollhouse view. It also gives floor plans and the buyer the ability to walk and navigate every nook and cranny and look up and down and look at the appliances from the pleasure of their own home. So those are absolutely critical. And when you hear people talking about walking through a home with their phone to try and do some FaceTime tour, that's actually not great. That's a disadvantage. It doesn't show your home in the right light. Specifically, they'll turn around and there'll be a window, and that'll cause the scene or the screen to just blow out and look really bright. Then they'll turn the other way, and it'll be a dark part of the room, and then it'll get dark. So you want a 3D showcase tour. The actual brand name behind it is called a Matterport tour. We're still doing property videos, which is a fantastic way to highlight all the features and benefits of your home, set to some music and some drone flyovers. Great way to show and sell your home. Our website traffic is up right now. Buyers are still interested in moving, but they just might not be out looking or pulling the trigger right now. So if you do need to sell this year, I would still recommend getting your home on the market. Buyers are still looking, even if it's mostly online right now, and they might just be making a little short list, and if your home's going to get to the top of their list for when they get back out and start shopping again, then there's no reason to wait. So if you'd like more information specifically about your neighborhood or your home, do feel free to give me a call at 702-442-1150 or shoot me an email, rob@robjensen.com. Thanks, and be safe.